Here at the Apple iPad event with MG Siegler of TechCrunch. What was the big news for you, and were there any surprises for you?
I think the biggest surprise was definitely the price point of the device itself. You know, a lot of people had thought it would be around $1,000 or so, and Apple kind of dropped a bomb of letting people know that it would be $499 for the cheapest version of the device, which is, I think, has 16 gigabytes of storage and also no 3G built in. So they progressively build up the price from there. But that's a pretty impressive price point. Yeah.
And is that a competitive threat for the Kindle or the other e-readers, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Kindles is still a little bit cheaper, but this is also a much more functional device than that. You know, it can display videos, it can display pictures, it can display all sorts of things, run all the current iPhone apps that are out there right now. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of functionality, this really blows the Kindle away, even though it is a little bit more expensive than it.
What industries does this disrupt the most?
You know, there was a lot of talk that it might disrupt the publishing industry the most, and it certainly played that up in the event in there. We'll have to see about that, you know, if people are actually willing to go in and, you know, pay for these New York Times apps and these different apps, you know, because you can also just browse the web on it greatly, just as you can, you know, with the iPhone right now. So will people be willing to pay for apps versus going to the website itself is a big question.
And shipping, how long does it take before we can get one of these?
So they said with 60 days for the one without 3G, the one with 3G takes a little bit longer because they have to go through all the regulatory stuff, so that should be about 90 days.
Okay, so if I've got an iPhone and I've got a recent model MacBook Pro, why do I buy an iPad?
You know, Steve Jobs in there was trying to really play it up as this is kind of the middle device of those two things, you know. You kind of use it while
but
sitting
I have
around
both
the
devices
house.
and I still want one, I'm not sure. So
right.
If I have both of those two, why do I want to buy one?
You know, I think if it does take off for publishing and things like that, it looks like a great device. You know, I played with it in there for a little bit in terms of reading and stuff. It is very nice. It's a little bit different than the Kindle because Kindle's an e-ink device, and this has a backlit screen, so it's a little bit harder on the eyes. But it looks great, and it's got great functionality in terms of reading different books and stuff in there. But yeah, I mean, that's a big question mark for it. Will people be willing to who already have the iPhone or iPod Touch and have the laptop, will they be willing to get this middle device in there?
And what about things like ports or connectors, things that you can do on a MacBook that you certainly can't do on an iPhone? Will it have all those types of connectors to do multimedia production or to be connecting to other devices?
Yeah, one of the really nice things that they showed off in there was the keyboard, the actual physical keyboard connector that you can hook up and easily type. You know, Steve Jobs joked if you want to write War and Peace on it, you can do that. And certainly that makes it pretty attractive if you just carried around that keyboard and the small little, you know, it's a £1.50 device. That could certainly be a laptop replacement for some people. I don't know how it will work for blogging. We'll certainly be trying that out. But yeah, there's some pretty nice functionality here.
So how many times have you attended a Steve Jobs presentation before?
Half dozen or so.
What is so magical about the way this guy presents product?
You know, I think it really has a lot to do with his enthusiasm. He's very excited, obviously, when he's up there. You know, he keeps portraying this device as, you know, one of the greatest technological achievements that Apple's ever done, which is, of course, saying a lot, given what they've done in the past decade and all the way back to the, you know, original PCs. So yeah, I think he's obviously excited about it. Everyone on their team is obviously excited about it. They use those keywords, you know, like greatest, best, all these very exclamation point words. So, you know, I think that's really the key.
We'll probably go back to the studio and see if there's any questions and take a break for a minute or two. But basically, what are the kind of final takeaways that you had compared to what your expectations were going into the event and what the overall impact has on consumer culture, on media, on publishing, and on the tech space itself?
You know, it's pretty much in line with what people were expecting from the event. You know, the price is the real shocker because that's not what people were expecting. But you know, I was watching some of the chatter going across while the event was going on, and people were saying that the stock was kind of diving. And as soon as they announced the price, it kind of shot back up. Because you know that is really a key part of this device right there. So you know, but it went along about as well, you know, as expected. Some people, you know, weren't too thrilled with the whole amount of emphasis placed on the iWork applications and things like that. But you know, some of the games that they had just built in the 2-week span or whatever looked really great. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of applications developers build for this thing.
We'll go back to the studio and maybe we'll come back for some more questions in a moment. Final questions. question, what is it about Apple's design process, do you think, that other companies just try so hard to get any kind of attention for a product release, and people are kind of slinging negative comments at it before, during, and after? But there's something about a perception of consumer behavior, of media usage, that Apple gets right. What do you think that is, and what do you attribute that to?
I really think that it has to do with the fact that they kind of are in charge of everything. They build the hardware, they build the software, they build these stores, they use all they bring in all the media and everything for it. So they're able to make the complete package, whereas a lot of other hardware manufacturers have to rely on a different software manufacturer, and they kind of just don't work as nicely together in that way. So Apple, even with this thing, for the first time, they're building their own custom processor with this thing called the A4, and it looks fast. I mean, I played with it in there for a little bit, and it's pretty snappy. It's pretty nice.
Well, MJ Siegler, we might ask you to come back in another few minutes, one of America's premier tech writers on one of America's premier tech blogs, TechCrunch. We'll be back in a few moments if we can get some more time, and back to the studio for now.